Hey guys, it's time for the doctrine for the week. Um, this week's doctrine is the cross for a believer. Jesus did not make his call for discipleship easy. In fact, on the contrary, he stressed the cost of following him, showing it meant full obedience, and also the renunciation of all contrary plans that we might prefer to make for ourselves. One way Jesus spoke about this was to talk about the cross, saying, for example, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. This is necessary for faithfully following Jesus. It is not optional. No one who refuses to take up their cross and follow Jesus can be a Christian. It is personal, and no one can do it for you. It is voluntary, and no one is forced to pick up a cross. A person must take it willingly. It is mortal. The cross is meant to kill all selfish desires or ambitions that we have. We must die to self if we are going to bear eternal fruit. Jesus set his course toward Jerusalem. In the text this week, we saw where Jesus set his course toward Jerusalem and the cross. He called believers to not seek greatness on the world's terms, but to follow his example of self-denial, servanthood, and sacrifice for the sake of others. Following Jesus is wonderful, but it's not easy. Believers answer the call to deny themselves, and they live by an entirely different value system than the world with the cross in full view. Jesus commands his people to take up their own cross. This means we choose to love him above all else, including our plans, our preferences, comforts, careers, families, even our own lives. Jesus' obedience to his Father led him from heaven to earth and eventually to Jerusalem and the cross. As we follow Jesus, he leads us to give up our self-centered motives, our desires, our responses. We willingly carry his cross and live driven by an ever-deepening love for him. This produces greater joy than our plans or any fleeting pleasure that the world can offer us. So, when I do not believe that following Jesus will lead me to take up a cross of my own, I equate faith with an easy life and expect only blessings. When life is hard, I think God has failed me. I seek my own agenda and miss the benefit of joyfully and willingly sacrificing my desires for God's. But when I believe that if I follow Jesus to the cross, I recognize the benefits of full surrender. I willingly drink the cup of his suffering and give up something lesser. I give up something lesser for the greater reward of pleasing the Lord. This is often very painful, and at the same time, it is an act of worship. So how do we apply this to our leadership? Jesus set the example of sacrifice for the sake of others. Those who belong to him grow in sacrificial living. To follow Jesus is to follow him to the cross, to willingly give up your plans and priorities for his. It's, what have you laid aside for the sake of obedience to Christ? How has Jesus' sacrificial love for you motivated you to offer costly service and love to others? Also, the Holy Spirit must give us the power to deny ourselves. So giving up our rights is not our default human response. Sin leads us to put ourselves first. So what situation are you facing where you want to seek your own way, not God's way? And in what ways have you experienced the Holy Spirit's power to deny yourself rather than to please yourself? Last point, God brings amazing blessings and personal fulfillment as we serve him and others, but that is not our primary reason for doing so. We serve out of love for God and gratitude for all he has given us. Serving God in BSF, or serving God in your family, your career, church, or neighborhood is hard more often than it is easy. Let me say that again. Serving God in BSF, our neighborhood, our family, anything is hard more often than it's going to be easy. Do you ever chafe against your loss of freedom, comfort, or free time? I hate it when they step on my toes. And everything that serving Christ demands is far more worth it. You cannot outgive God. When serving God is hard, will you remember Jesus and what he gave for your sake? I'm going to end that again. when serving God is hard, will you remember Jesus and what he gave for your sake? I'll see you guys this evening. Bye.